Hello and welcome. My name is Amma Thanasanti, and I'm with Awakening Truth. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Tonglen and the practice of giving and receiving, a story about how I first connected with this, and then some teachings that I received about it later that made me understand it in a much more profound way, and then guide you in a meditation. Tonglen comes from the Tibetan tradition. It means giving and receiving. And the idea is that we bring to mind the things that are difficult or painful in another person or in the world or in a situation. And then we imagine giving what we can connect with in ourselves that's positive. And unlike causing harm to ourselves, it can actually free us. So I first encountered this when I was a young nun. I was living in England and I was experiencing a lot of depression. And none of the things that I had were helping. The loving kindness meditation, walking meditation, body scan meditation, none of it was making a dent. So on my own, without having heard about it or read about it or had teachings about it, I just thought, well, what would happen if I just imagined taking on the depression of the world? And even though I feel terrible, what if I connect with what little things that I can feel or connect with that feel okay? I had enough to eat. I was warm enough. I was living in a place where there wasn't violence happening. I had Buddhist teachings that I had access to. There was things that I could connect with, even though I felt contracted and low energy and depressed. I was depressed. So there I was, and I just imagined, breathing in the depression that was present in the world, and with what I could access to release and to share the things that I had that I could feel that were blessings. And to my utter amazement, after a short meditation, the depression, which had been impactful and solid for a while, evaporated. It was gone. And then many years later, I heard that Tonglen was an actual practice, and a tradition had developed and taught it. And then I had the good fortune of going to Gampo Abbey, where Pema Chodren was, and she was teaching it, and I actually got proper instructions rather than just what had spontaneously come to me as a young nun, walking meditation in the little coppice woods near the monastery. And then many years later, I was watching a documentary of Garchen Rinpoche, who's a Tibetan Buddhist meditation teacher who was interred in a prison of war. And while he was interred as a prisoner of war, a lama came and was also in the same prisoner of war camp and told him that the real teaching of Tonglen is that when we practice Tonglen genuinely, what we recognize is the inseparability of consciousness. And that as we give, we are releasing the veils that keep us feeling that we are fundamentally separate. And as we do that, we can open up to a very profound understanding. So remarkably, Garchen Rinpoche speaks about that time as being transformative. And even though the conditions were like the worst that you can imagine, it was in that context that he really understood what liberation meant. And he went from being anger and bitter and cynical and spiteful and only wanting his captors to feel the kinds of pain that he felt, to his heart being filled with compassion and loving kindness. So I am not speaking from a prison of war camp, and I certainly hope you are not listening from one. But what this says to me is that even in conditions of extreme difficulty and darkness, there's ways of cultivating that can open our hearts and our minds, where we can experience profound shift in consciousness and recognize a kind of freedom which is innate. And when we do that, all kinds of things are possible that are not possible otherwise. So it is with that intention that I offer this guided meditation, knowing that each of us is exactly where we're at. Most of us don't have the practice, width, or capacity of somebody who's been training for decades. Yet we can use this in a way that may be of benefit. So my encouragement is for you to be gentle with yourself, kind, and not do something that feels uncomfortable or like a resistance. Don't push through your resistances, but see if there's something that just spontaneously opens with invitation rather than with pressure or judgment or force. So to begin, I invite you to just take a moment and feel your body. Feel where you are right now. Allow your attention to turn inward and sense what you sense. Shape, your weight, the contact with the chair, the cushion, the feet, if they're on the floor. And see how much of your body is available to you right now. How much do you sense? And take a couple of deep breaths. And as you breathe in, allow in the fresh air. Let it nourish, energize, revitalize, renew, invigorate. And as you breathe out, allow yourself to settle. Let go of thinking or planning or remembering. And as you let go, invite a little bit more ease and relaxation. You might invite it behind your eyes, in your smiling muscles, in your chewing muscles, in your shoulders, Now, for a moment, allow your attention to go and rest someplace that feels easy, comfortable. Might be the palms of your hands, might be the wetness in your mouth. Might be the nape of your neck. Or another place that's easy, comfortable. And know that at any point during this meditation, you're welcome to return to this place that's comfortable. Now, I'd like to invite you to think of someone who has some suffering, not the worst kind of suffering, not the difficult, most difficult, but a little bit of suffering. Bring them to mind and get a feeling for the kind of suffering that they have. Whether it's physical discomfort, or some anxiety, some grief. And as you see them and you see their discomfort, imagine that their discomfort turns into a kind of smoke. As you breathe in that smoke, one of the qualities of that smoke is that it dissolves any sense of separation that you might have. And as you breathe out, you share with them the qualities of goodness that you can connect with in your own experience right now. Breathing in their pain as smoke, breathing out the goodness that you feel. Remembering that this smoke is dissolving the sense of separation that you feel from what's inherently good inside of you. It's not lodging in your physical body. You're not taking on their pain. You're allowing it in this very particular way. And you're giving back in your own mind, in your own imagination, filling them with the things that you feel are positive, wholesome, good, balancing, nourishing, supportive. And when you are ready, allow this imagination to wind up back to your own body, heart, and mind. And notice what you notice. What is the same? What is different? And as you ponder these questions, consider if it is possible for you to also do this for yourself. That you can breathe in the pain that part of you experiences and breathe out the goodness that other parts of you experience. And if that may be a support during these times. We can take part of us that's hurting and breathe it in. Into that very same hurting, extend the things that we can connect with, that are healing, that are wholesome, that are positive, that are supportive, that are sound. And as we give and we receive from ourselves to ourselves, and we give and we receive to others, what happens? What do you notice? What is your experience? So I want to thank you for joining me, for your time, for your interest, for your willingness, for your trust. And I hope this practice supports you, bringing more compassion to yourself. And as you bring more compassion to others, you experience more kindness for yourself, more capacity for gentleness with yourself, and more recognition of that intrinsic inseparability of you and your own basic goodness. And if you like this video, I would encourage you to let us know by liking, by commenting, and by sharing. It's a way of passing on the goodness. Thank you, and bye for now.